Right now on WESH 2, Orange County's biggest job is on the ballot in August, and these 4 people want it. The office of Orange County Mayor. Tonight, hear what they each want to bring to the position.
That means focusing on affordability, livability, and opportunity.
I'm fighting for your family the same way I fight for mine. I have served this community for years, making sure I can deliver results that were important to you.
As the only conservative in this race, my faith is in the free market, not socialism.
WESH 2 finds out for you where they each stand on the biggest issues facing Central Florida's biggest county, including what will happen if millions of dollars in property taxes go away as soon as they take office.
So we're going to have to tighten up, do more with less. We are very staff heavy.
There's a lot of fraud and bureaucracy and waste in county government that we need to get to the bottom of.
People who make less will be paying more of their salaries towards this, and I think that's unacceptable.
We have to be innovative and find ways to modernize services without laying off citizens or furloughing your department.
This is WESH 2's Commitment 2026, Orange County Mayoral Debate.
Hello and welcome to WESH 2's Commitment 2026 debate with the candidates for Orange County Mayor. I'm Stuart Moore.
And I'm Greg Fox. The office of Orange County Mayor is one of the most influential in the region and the state. Orange County is the largest of the 9 counties that make up Central Florida, and 1.5 million people live here. It's also one of just 2 counties across Florida with a strong mayor.
There are 4 candidates vying for this job, and they are all here with us this evening to discuss their vision for Orange County, qualifications for the job, and answer questions about this community's most pressing issues.
Before we introduce each candidate, let's tell you a little bit about the job they're seeking. Orange County's mayor presides over county operations and the budget, which is more than $9 billion right now. Close to 8,400 people work under the mayor's administration. The mayor sits as the executive head of the Board of County Commissioners, holding voting power along with the other commission members.
Let's introduce our candidates vying for this important job in alphabetical order. Christopher Messina is CEO of a medical device technology company. He helped lead the Axe the Tax campaign to defeat a 1% transit sales tax in the county. Mr. Messina is also a volunteer football coach. He is married and has 3 children.
Tiffany Moore Russell has been serving as Orange County's clerk of court since her election in 2014, the first African-American woman to be elected to that post. Before that, she served as the Orange County Commissioner and was the youngest ever elected to that post. She is also a member of the Domestic Violence Commission. She's married and has 2 children.
Stephanie Murphy is a former 3-term congresswoman representing Central Florida. She is the first Vietnamese American woman elected to Congress. She worked at the Pentagon and is founder and CEO of Center Aisle Coalition, which encourages government to serve the broad majority, not those on the political extremes. Ms. Murphy is married and has 2 children.
Our 4th candidate is current Orange County Commissioner Myra Uribe, who currently represents District 3. She was first elected to that post in 2018. Prior to running for office, she served as an aide to then Senator Bill Nelson. She volunteers for groups such as Catholic Charities, is married, and has 2 children. Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate you being able to share your views so that the voters can make an informed choice. Before we get going, I think Stuart's got something he wants to tell us about the rules.
We need to explain the rules of this debate, which are pretty straightforward, and the candidates already know. Each candidate will have 1 minute for an opening statement. Once we begin with questions, responses should be kept to 1 minute with 30 seconds for rebuttal if a candidate's name is invoked by an opponent. We'll end with a 1-minute closing statement from each candidate. Now, the candidates drew lots to determine the order for openings. We're going to begin with Ms. Uribe.
Thank you very much. And first of all, I want to thank WESH 2 for hosting this forum tonight. It is so important for our community to get the knowledge directly from the candidates. My name is Myra Uribe. For 8 years, I've had the honor of serving as a county commissioner, working to strengthen our neighborhoods, support our families, protect our environment, and grow our quality of life. I was born and raised here, and this is where my husband and I are raising our children. So when I fight for safer streets, for timely services, for more affordable housing and lower costs, I'm fighting for your family the same way I fight for mine. I know our challenges and I know our strengths. I've sat with residents in their living room, walked their neighborhoods, and listened to the hopes of their future. I'm running for mayor because Orange County deserves leadership that is experienced, committed, and deeply rooted in this community. I'm ready to lead on day 1. Ready to launch a vision that brings transportation solutions, housing opportunities, and prosperity for all. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Tiffany Moore Russell, 1 minute, please.
Good evening, and thank you all for tuning in. I am Tiffany Moore Russell, running for Orange County Mayor. I'm a licensed attorney from Tangelo Park, married with 2 sons, and I have served this community for years, making sure I can deliver results that were important to you. Listen, as a former county commissioner, I secured funding for neighborhood projects, and as your current clerk of court, I manage very complicated budgets. I've made sure I can increase access to services and have led a large constitutional office across this state. And that role and both roles allows me to be prepared to serve as your Orange County Mayor on day one. Today, many residents are unable to afford their rent. We know that transportation and traffic is continuing to be a problem. And guess what? Wages are not matching the cost of living. And so my vision is simple: a county that is thriving for all families, an economy that creates opportunities for all, and a government that's accessible and efficient for you. I am Tiffany Moore Russell, and I'm asking for your vote, and I look forward to a great conversation tonight.
Mr. Christopher Messina.
Chris Messina here, running to be your Orange County Mayor. I'm a Christian and a husband, married to my amazing wife for 25 years. Our 3 children are all in Florida schools. I was vice chair of Orange County Watch and a volunteer football coach here. I'm a businessman, not a politician. I have an MBA from Harvard and a master's in city planning. I've built technology businesses, foundations, and trade associations, generating thousands of jobs. You can learn more at chrismessina.com. We need a new vision in Orange County, not another recycled politician. Great jobs are top priority. I know that for many times they're tough. I can relate. At one point, I had only $5 in the bank. Our number 1 goal, diversify our economy, particularly into space tech. Number 2, keep our kids safe. Number 3, eliminate waste and bureaucracy to invest in transportation and affordable housing without raising taxes. As the only conservative in this race, my faith is in the free market, not socialism. I humbly ask for your vote on August 18th. Thank you.
All right, and Stephanie Murphy, 1 minute, please.
Thank you to Wesh for hosting, and thank you to the viewers for tuning in. I'm Stephanie Murphy, and I'm running for Orange County Mayor because I'm raising my family in this community, and I feel like we're at an inflection point. We are growing fast because people know that this community is a great place to live. But we need leadership that is going to be able to deliver a world-class community for what is already a world-class destination. And that means focusing on affordability, livability, and opportunity. I have worked on complex issues in business, at the Department of Defense, and in Congress, where I pulled down resources for this community for transportation and small businesses and for veterans and for other issues that matter to people living in this county. And our campaign is focused on ensuring that we reduce traffic, have better paying jobs, and create housing that is affordable for the working families here, because I believe our best days are in front of us, and I look forward to earning your support.
Thank you all for your opening statements. We'll begin with our questions. And our first question centers on the massive property tax cut proposal that will be on this year's ballot. If it passes, Florida cities and counties are projected to lose $5 billion in the first year. For Orange County, the hit will be about $160 million in the first year. Ms. Uribe, we'll start with you. What's your plan for steering the county through this potential windfall, or I should say reduction, in $160 million?
Well, first of all, this is a great question because it's on everyone's mind, and they need to understand what it is. This is a reduction of property tax on homesteaded properties. A lot of times when you hear tax reduction, you're not really fed the real information. It's your homesteaded primary property. Yes, there will be an impact. We're looking at $165 million first year, potentially $275 million the next year. But honestly, we have a lot of ability to cut. When I started as a county commissioner, this budget was about $4.5 billion. We're looking at over $9 billion with an increase this year of about 7.6% over last year's budget. The ad valorem is coming in. While we have not increased our millage rate ever, our value of property continues to go up. So we're going to have to tighten up, do more with less. We are very staff heavy. We've got a lot of potential. And when you look at the org chart, we actually have fiscal departments in 8 divisions. That is not how you run an efficient, effective government. We're going to streamline this, make one department in charge of the fiscal part of Orange County, and stop finding ways of hiding money, but actually how we save money.
Ms. Russell, how will you handle the reduction in that much money over the course of just 2 years?
Well, thank you, Stuart. As the current clerk of court, my first year in office, I had to cut my budget 3 times within one fiscal year. And I learned that we have to be innovative and find ways to modernize services without laying off citizens or furloughing your departments. And so I'll be able to take that same experience as Orange County Mayor to make sure that we're looking for ways to look for efficiencies, look for ways to find ways to modernize our services. How do we use technology to deploy greater services for our citizens to be able to cut back on costs, and making sure we are not duplicating what we're already doing today, and looking for ways that we can sunset some programs. Maybe some programs need to go away. Maybe some things need to be bolstered or fully funded. So the importance is make sure that we are looking for budget exercises to make sure we can look for ways to cut for those costs without jeopardizing services as well as the citizens and employees of Orange County. And I believe as a former clerk, I bring that experience and how to manage tough budget times to the role of Orange County Mayor.
Mr. Messina, you boast your MBA from Harvard. Have you run the math on how you would deal with this issue?
Yeah, thank you, Stuart, for asking. So the total value of ad valorem homesteaded taxes is 2.5% of Orange County's budget. And when you take out the fact that it's not 100% of the ad valorem homesteaded taxes going away, we're looking at a hit of less than 2%. That's assuming no growth, but there's always growth because houses and properties and people moving here generate additional tax revenue. So there's a lot of fraud and bureaucracy and waste in county government that we need to get to the bottom of. I'll give you one example. There was the Sentinel actually reported on this, a program to educate 30 senior citizens on how to use a computer for $300,000. That's $10,000 per enrollee. This is the kind of waste we need to eliminate. So we're going to eliminate that. We have a forensic audit team ready to go day one when we take office. The second part, though, we need to think about is how to support some of our local towns because they're going to have a bigger hit. So towns like Eatonville and Belle Isle, we need to think about programs to help them weather this charge.
Ms. Messina, thank you. Ms. Murphy, do you have a plan if this property tax cut goes through?
Well, I think that given the extraordinary growth in the budget of Orange County over the most recent years, that there's probably room for us to make sure that the dollars that are already being collected and spent are used efficiently. But what I really am concerned about with this proposal is the unintended consequences. So it leaves municipalities with only regressive options to replace that income, which means that people who make less will be paying more of their salaries towards this. And I think that's unacceptable in a moment where so many working families are struggling. But the other thing that I think is really problematic about this proposal is that it removes any incentive for any municipality ever to permit a home that costs less than $250,000, because that means that it would just be cost to that county and no revenue. And that would just make our affordability issue in the state so much worse, and especially here in this county. I want to make sure that this county can continue to deliver attainable housing so that people can achieve their American dream of home ownership.
I want to get a yes or no, and we're going to go down the line as to whether or not you plan to vote for the property tax cuts that are going to come up on the November ballot. Ms. Uribe?
No.
Ms. Murphy?
No.
Yes, and I'm encouraging everybody to vote yes.
Next, more questions about making up lost property taxes and the money coming into Central Florida from tourists, but unable to be used for basic services.
Will you fight for a change in law to expand the eligible uses for the TDT to improve transportation or public safety, for example?
The candidates' answers when we come back.
Digging a little bit more into this Save Our Homes amendment, specifically, this says that the tax revenues are solely for core public needs, including public safety, education, and schools. We've heard that a lot, infrastructure and natural resources. But the governor also just signed Senate Bill 4F, which is basically using the rollback rate to figure out taxes, so that if taxes would have gone up this year as normal, under this particular bill, administering this amendment, if it is passed, it also means there will be less property tax revenues that are coming into the counties and the cities. So it's going to be even tougher. So I guess what I would wonder, and we'll start with Ms. Russell, I would wonder if you would be okay and feel like if you're elected, we are going to have to raise other kinds of fees, municipal service taxing units, things like that to keep our gutters clear, services, and even public safety?
So that's a great question, because actually over the summer, about a month ago, Orange County was conducting community meetings to discuss a potential stormwater fee, and it was tabled. The commission decided to hold off on that, which exposed the fact that we need a dedicated funding source just for stormwater. And so there may be some fees that we have to explore because of what's happening in our infrastructure, the funding that we need to improve those areas, because when it rains, and we know we're prone to have hurricanes, many of our streets across this county flood. And so I think we have to be very realistic that there may be some exploring of additional fees if we have to address how to address the concerns that's happening across the county. And so there may be an opportunity for some fees.
Ms. Murphy, are you okay with having to enact some new fees for people to make up for these lost revenues, or is that not part of your game plan?
I think that if any new fees will be regressive, like I said, basically impacting the hardworking families in this community. They'll be paying a bigger portion of their hard-earned money towards trying to make this up. So I'd rather go look for efficiencies within the county budget, because I think there has to be, given the incredible increase in the budget in recent years. And then the other piece on that is that we have to demand out of the county government more effective and more efficient services. So there's a lot of waste that comes in just delay and bureaucracy that can be eliminated so that we can find savings in that place. I've worked on big budgets at the Department of Defense. I know that there are ways in which we can do this without impacting hardworking families in this county at a time when they are already struggling with costs.
I know, Ms. Uribe, that you said a second ago that we haven't raised property taxes, but in fact, last year we did for the first time in 17 years to pay for new fire and EMS service. So we know that that precedent has already been set. That door has already been crossed. So what is the next step? Let's try to get more details out of you and exactly what we do to make up for a pot of money that isn't going to be there.
Absolutely, and it's exactly that point. I actually voted no on that MSTU increase because it was intended and dangled in front of our firefighters as a way of getting their raises, and they waited 2 additional years to get it. But what they did do is buy more cars, more trucks, more expeditions, more uniforms. That's not helping our firefighters on the line. I voted also no to increasing the transportation impact fee tax, and I call it the rain tax, the storm drainage tax, because essentially it's the first thing the county wants to do. They want to go raise fees. They don't ever look internally and say, where can we be more efficient? Where can we modernize? Where can we do better? Matter of fact, a news coverage just did boat dock fees. They're going to go from $182 for each boat docks, and they want to create it to $1,800 to $4,500, while our surrounding counties and cities actually paid less than $182. We can't keep doing this to the residents in Orange County. It cannot cost more to do the same in our county as it does somewhere else. We're very bad at being efficient with the dollars that come in, and we've got to start being much more effective to earn the trust of the public.
All right, Mr. Messina, Ms. Uribe says we're not efficient about handling our dollars. You started a conversation before the bell hit you on the last question.
Yep.
So go ahead and finish your thought.
We aren't efficient.
Hold on. The chief financial officer released his audit report,
Right.
which the current mayor called flawed earlier this year. So I think voters are wondering, who do they believe? Is Orange County overspending, or is Orange County being efficient? You seem to say no. Why?
Yeah, well, first of all, I've talked with Blaise Ngolia, the CFO, about what's going on here in Orange County, and we're not efficient in how we manage our money. If you look, our rate of population increase and inflation is going like this, but the Orange County budget's going like this. The slope is diverging between the two. And why is that? Well, I think part of it is a philosophy. It's a philosophy that says every single problem we encounter, whether it's transportation or housing, requires more taxes and more money coming from the hardworking taxpayers to the government of Orange County. I don't think that's right. I also think it's completely unnecessary. We need a new mindset in terms of how we're managing Orange County government. And I'll ask all of you out there, who of you hasn't had to cut your budget a little bit by 1%, 2%, and give up something? Just about every business out there, every family out there has hit a situation like that. We need to learn to do that in Orange County.
All right, thank you.
Let's talk now about the largest pot of money that mostly comes from visitors, not locals. Tourist development taxes. There is roughly $450 million in reserves, but that money can only be spent on tourism promotion, the convention center, sports and entertainment, venues, public art, and more. Will you fight for a change in law to expand the eligible uses for the TDT to improve transportation or public safety, for example? Mr. Messina, we'll start with you.
Stuart, right now I would not. And the reason I want it is because I think we need to more broadly define tourism. So we have many other venues besides the convention center or the Camping World Stadium that we can invest in. For example, we have a world-class firefighting center here. It's right on Curry Ford Road. Why not create a fire competition that's national and bring people in? The SWAT team also has a competitive program that they would like to promote. Let's start promoting that. What we could do, though, is look at innovative ways to move tourists around. So, for example, I support the Boring Company, which is planning to create a connection between Epic and Universal, and that will take a lot of cars off the road. I would support some dedicated transportation between resorts and the residences like vacation homes and other places, and that's another innovative use of the TDT, the Transfer Development Tax dollars.
Ms. Murphy, same question to you. Do you think those funds should be where they are right now without any changes, or do you think the TDT should be tapped to address other issues in the county?
Of course, as somebody who's aspiring to be a local mayor, I want greater flexibility on all the funds that are available. But I am somebody who knows how to maximize the use of those funds within the bounds of the laws as they exist today. And I think that we do need to be a little more creative about how we meet that 40% threshold that is required for the promotion of tourism, and thinking about venues that that bring people in from outside of this county, whether that's for a soccer tournament for the kids or otherwise. We can meet that threshold, and then it does unlock money that can be used to think about workforce housing or transportation related to tourism. There's a lot that can be done, but currently we're not maximizing the potential of the way the law is working today. And I think that there's more that can be done, and I know that I'd be able to do that.
Ms. Russell, the current mayor has a task force dedicated to figuring out if changes should be made to TDT funds. Where do you stand on this issue?
So I think we first want to acknowledge the fact that when TDT was first passed, it was at a time where we were not one of the #1 destinations in the world. And so commend them for identifying a vision, right? But I think today, it's 2026, we should reimagine where we're going for the future. And I think the key is making sure we can continue to support an existing industry that provides income and jobs for many folks that live in this county. But also I am open to exploring other uses to support tourism. So what is that? Transportation for tourism. We just saw an article that came out that said we lost home builders because of our transportation on our drive. So making sure we have infrastructure, dedicated funding and transportation for the employees that work at these hotels and theme parks. You know, workforce housing, things that will support those who work in tourism. I think the key is making sure we don't pit the people against an industry that we know provide income for many people who live in this county. So I'm open to exploring solutions that we can match the future of where we go in this community.
Ms. Uribe, what's your priority when it comes to the TDT funds, and do you think there's any flexibility on how it should be spent?
Absolutely. This is a phenomenal question. We've got to go to Tallahassee and fight for these dollars. We're talking about $400 million a year. We're spending $120 million on advertising. We're renting 21,000 cars a day at the airport who are using our roads and aren't contributing. They're using our water. They're not contributing. They're using our law enforcement. They're not contributing. This industry, while it's so prosperous and does a lot and has helped us be recognized around the world, has to pitch in locally, because 1/3 of our population actually works in that industry when the average wage is $39,000 a year. That is not a livable wage. While tourism is great and there's a reason we have that, we have to look out for the people who live it, the people who fuel it. We can do that. We need that contribution because, like we lost that contract to Las Vegas, a significant $300 million impact. If we had better roads, everyone wins. We have a fire station that only services tourism that's paid by taxpayer dollars. When you look at how much law enforcement is in that industry, it's time they pay their fair share.
Still ahead.
How would you improve quality of life and affordability across the county?
Hear what the candidates for Orange County Mayor want to do to tackle high rents and low wages. This is WESH 2's Commitment 2026 Orange County Mayoral Debate.
A lot of people talk about the Las Vegas model when it comes to sports, okay? They already draw bunches of people to Las Vegas for a variety of reasons. Now they've got all kinds of professional sports, and it's paying for itself. It's doing well. So I want to twist into the TDT discussion and talk about sports. We've had greater interest in trying to lure an expansion baseball team sometime in the future. We're hosting the Jaguars next year. We'll probably have to host the Buccaneers for a year when they do the renovation for their stadium as well. So there seems to be a conglomeration besides Disney World and Universal and SeaWorld and all of that where people would come here and then also invest in sports. So the question is, are you more eager than what we've seen so far to invest in sports with those TDT dollars? And I'll go back to Stephanie Murphy to start it out.
I think sports in this country has an incredible ability to unite a community, and we see it as we see with Orlando City Soccer, which has come about in the last decade, and how it really unites a community. But at the end of the day, when we are looking at whether it's an MLB team or any other franchise, one, the national organization has to decide that they're interested in bringing something here. And then two, we have to evaluate them like we would evaluate any opportunity, any business, any entity that's going to come to this community. Do they bring well-paying jobs? Is there an upside benefit to this community? And at what standards do we allow them to be a part of this community? And to me, if we have people, whether they are businesses or sports franchises, who want to help make this community a world-class community for the residents who live here, then we should have conversations about how we go about supporting that effort. But that's what we should be really focused on, is making this a world-class community.
All right, Mr. Messina, have you been to a sports facility here in town?
Multiple
That's probably
times.
been enhanced or built by tax dollars? What do you think about all that?
Well, I think that it would be really exciting if we could bring another Major League franchise to Greater Orlando. The challenge is we have to make sure we can pay for it. And that, I mean, look, I love sports. I've coached sports. I've played sports. It's been a huge part of my life. But we have to make sure that the new stadium or whatever is built is not deposited on the taxpayers. It has to stand on its own. And that means we need the community here to have an equity stake in whatever sports franchise comes here. We also really need to think about cleaning up Church Street, because if you go down Church Street, you go from the Kia Center, which is, you know, nice, and then you go through a row of junkies and rundown buildings to the Intercoast Stadium, which is pretty nice. And then from there, you go to Camping World Stadium through a worse row of rundown homes and junkies. We need a whole new approach to think about how do we redevelop Church Street, because you don't have a great community without a great downtown. And we need that, and it could be East Sports.
Ms. Uribe, if you're elected and if you get a way to change the existing law on how spending tourist development tax dollars to pay for some of the things you think it should be paying for, let's say transportation or public safety, is the next step sports? Investing more of that money in sports?
You know, I really believe it's a balance, because we've already given a lot away when it's come to sports. And we're talking about major billion-dollar owners of teams. You have to give us something back. This can't be a one-way give, which we've traditionally done as a town. If you're going to come into this town, what's your investment in our community, and get it down in writing? Just like the Magic did with the gyms to put them around the community. We need to expect something. You can't come here and just make a profit off of us but not contribute to our wealth of what is our community. So I think there has to be a balance. We can't give it all. And we have to be smart about decisions we're making when it comes to these infrastructures and supporting these venues. Like said, you've got a stadium that we got passed on World Cup. And when you look at World Cup games and you look at the stadiums that are hosting it, we were nowhere near in that ball game. We didn't have the infrastructure to support it. We didn't have the building to support it. So we've got to make really tough decisions and be real with ourselves. If we want to be world-class in sports, we have to have world-class venues at the same time. But it shouldn't be on the backs just of this town. Others need to contribute to the table.
All right, Ms. Russell, finish up this conversation. What do you think we should be doing with excess TDT dollars when we've covered all the bases, let's say,
Gotcha.
on other items?
First, I just can't let a comment slide that Mr. Messina made a comment that those who live near the Camping Road are junkies. As a community that I used to serve, those are hardworking families who live in that community where we have those stadiums. So I'm going to have to defend those who live in the heart of District 6. But I think it's important for us to make sure that any dollars that we take from TDT to invest in any activity, there's a return on that investment, and the data must match our decision. And so there must be a return. Does this particular project help grow TDT? Is it going to drive visitors? And I think we also, that's what we should be doing. And I have a record on that. I didn't support the venues when I was on the county commission. And those are questions that I asked then. Is there a return on this investment, and should we do them all at one time? And I really would like to see us do more in the arts, expanding our arts, making sure we can expand TDT throughout our cities. Apopka has a great amphitheater, making sure we can do more throughout this county to bring more culture and arts to our community. But I think whatever we spend that dollars, there must be a return on that investment to continue to help grow TDT.
Mr. Messina, 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure what to call somebody who's laying on the sidewalk with a needle and paraphernalia laying next to them. I've walked from, I've gone to the Cheez-It Bowl several times and walked from the county administration building and gone through it. And I know the people who live in those communities don't like what's on the streets. And so my view is that we should do something to actually make the folks who live there equity partners in a redevelopment, so that they have a stake in the success of the business of sports and of esports. So I think it's a huge opportunity, and I can tell that many people are really enthusiastic about redeveloping Church Street.
I think a lot of people would agree on this panel that at least you want somebody that's going to get something out of it, the community out of it, whether or not you invest into these funds as well. All right, up and down the ballot this year, quality of life and affordability will be driving how many people vote. Since 2018, when Jerry Demings was elected mayor, the median household income is up 12% to $74,000. In the same time frame, the average monthly rent for a two-bedroom apartment is up 56% to nearly $2,000. If you are elected mayor, what's your roadmap to get voters to a better place? Ms. Uribe, we'll start with you.
Thank you, and that's a great question because we've always talked about building more. It's not an inventory issue. We actually have plenty of inventory, it's just market rate. So it's unaffordable, like you stated. You can go anywhere right now and get an apartment. What we need to do is take advantage of the ship and sale programs. We've got inventory out there. Let's get folks in those apartments, in those homes. Use the resources that are available to us locally and from the state, and stop considering building more. It takes an average of 3 to 5 years to build an apartment complex. If we do that, that's why we have not been able to complete the housing for all. When you also look at TDT, if we were able to reduce what Visit Orlando gets by $45 million, we could actually put that into bonding and build 200 units a year. So let's look at creative projects. Ship and sale is perfect. When I get elected mayor, we're going to open up a department specifically for that. We're going to get them housed and put into somewhere permanently, and also give them diversity of where they get to live in this community. And secondly, we're creating our first homeless shelter. We'll give you 90 days to recover back to permanent housing. We're looking for long-term solutions that wrap around the services.
Ms. Murphy, how would you improve quality of life and affordability across the county?
This is a personal issue for me. I'm somebody who grew up in a trailer park in a rural area and had parents who worked multiple jobs and always sort of was on the edge of whether or not we would be in a home or not. And so I understand the vulnerability that people who are hardworking in this community feel in this moment as prices are outpacing their salaries. And I think that if you look across the country, places who have met the affordability issue by increasing supply to meet the demand that exists in this community have found that they've been able to drive down rates, whether that's rental rates for young people who are looking to rent apartments, or it's the rate of a house for a first-time home buyer who's trying to achieve the American dream of home ownership, or if it's for a senior who is just trying to age gracefully in place. I think we can address this issue while maintaining the character of our communities.
And we all know that the rising cost of getting a loan has also impacted a lot of people from being able to buy a home. One of the parts and struggles is having a lot of people fighting homelessness right now. Ms. Russell, what's on your to-do list when it comes to affordability in the county?
So affordability is an issue that's I see it every day, but as an employer here in Orange County, my clerks, When I first started, the clerk's office made $12 an hour. Now they're at $17 an hour. But many of them still cannot live in Orange County. They're living in Seminole, Osceola, or even, Lake County. And so I think we have a supply issue. I think we need to increase our supply and work with those to add more supply to our inventory. But we also have to be more creative in our zoning. I was very supportive of the county with Vision 2050. It's unfortunate that Tallahassee derailed that plan, but looking for more creative solutions when it comes to zoning to be innovative in how we provide that housing supply. But I think you cannot discuss affordability without economic prosperity. We got to look forward, bringing more jobs, helping small businesses grow, more high-paying jobs, so people can afford to live and work in this county.
Mr. Messina, same question to you.
So I think there's a threefold way we can increase supply, and then one way we can reduce excess demand. So increasing supply, we need to redevelop all the abandoned and rundown, derelict shopping centers that we have along our major routes, along 50, along OBT, along Orange Avenue. Those are places that could be wonderful communities for mixed use and multi-purpose housing. Number two, there are some laws like the Live Local Act and the YICIB Act that are designed to promote housing. And number three is that we need to look, now I'm going to just move to the demand issue. We have between 1.5 to 2 million people living here in Florida illegally. And data from the Center for Immigration Studies says for every million people in the country, there's a 1% increase in housing costs. So Florida's a tenth of that. If you multiply by 10, that means our housing prices are 10 to 20% higher than they should be because of illegal immigration here.
Regardless of where people may be able to have affordable housing,
Yeah.
we got to get them there.
Yep.
What do we do? We need buses, we need roads, and voters have rejected tax increases. What do we do?
Hear how the candidates for Orange County Mayor want to make getting around the county and Central Florida easier. Next.
Regardless of where people may be able to have affordable housing,
Yeah.
either in concentration or spread out, as Ms. Uribe has suggested, we got to get them there.
Yep.
What do? We need buses, we need roads, and voters have rejected tax increases. What do we do?
We need to rethink the transportation system. So for example, the bus system, Orange County pays 40 to 50% of the links, and some of the other local counties pay the rest. So we're the venture capitalists in charge of the links. The system's very inefficient. I met a young guy in Pine Hills who was waiting for his bus, waiting a long time for his bus. He told me it takes him 2 hours to get to his job at the airport. And I said, let me guess, you travel down to the main depot, switch to another bus. That's true. He said, and then you do it on the way back. He said, yeah, I do. So this guy is spending a third of his working day on the buses. We need to downsize those buses, equip them with technology, use Uber, Lyft type technology, and shift from a hub and spoke model to a point-to-point model. And we can do it. It would be much more efficient. It would free up a lot of capital. It would essentially pay for itself. And by the way, Seminole, I've been calling for this for 4 years. Seminole just started a pilot called Scout to do just this.
Ms. Murphy, you used to work in D.C. They've got great transit systems there. What do we do here in Orange County if you're elected?
We have to look at public transportation as a public good and stop expecting it to pencil. The most used public subway system in the country in New York doesn't pay for itself, but it's a core part of connecting people with opportunity. And so as a community, we have to make that commitment to do that and then find creative ways in which to fund it. And I'm somebody who has pulled down federal dollars, billions of dollars for I-4 expansion to make roads pedestrian and bike friendly, to have smart traffic light systems. I know that the answer to our transportation problems here in Central Florida and in the Bs, it's going to take us billions of dollars. And so we should go to the state and pull down our fair share. We should go to the federal government and pull down our fair share because we are a net contributor in taxes to the state. And currently, despite our growth, we are not getting our fair share of those investments to help us meet the transportation needs in this community. And I think that in that way, we can actually meaningfully make progress on transportation.
Ms. Uribe, the International Builders Convention canceled some events because they said the transit is so bad. What's your solution?
Absolutely. And, you know, there are actually a lot of great plans ready. I'm a big supporter of the STAR plan, which actually has direct transit on our major corridors, Cimarron, OBT, Kirkman Road, Orange Avenue, where you actually can get people directly to their point. They're doing it in South Florida effectively, and we can do it here. It's very cost efficient, and we need to implement that right away. Big buses are not the future. We have Sunrail. Doesn't pay for itself. It is costing us, we're subsidizing that around $17 million a year. Let's get it to the airport, and let's get it working nights and weekends so that people could get on that. When you actually look at the Scout program, they actually incentivize people who go to the Sunrail and get on it. And that's how we're going to get those suburban areas to connect there, where you can park, get downtown, but get somewhere. But I think it's important when you look at the hospitals. I've spoken with the hospitals. They want that train to work for their employees. They're worried that if a nurse gets on in the morning, she may not find a train running at night. We've got to start making some real decisions here and actually look at private partnerships to make this happen. But we own it. Let's use it.
Ms. Russell, you mentioned your employees are struggling. I can tell you when we cover trials down at the courthouse, we often see your employees being picked up and dropped off by family members because they can't afford 2 cars. What do you have as a solution?
So I do think Orange County needs a robust transportation plan, and because we are, I was actually on the commission when we voted for Sunrail. I was a commissioner at that time, and the original plan, we started with federal dollars, but ultimately, even if you start with federal dollars, it becomes your local responsibility. And so we have to look at a multimodal system that deals with both rapid bus routes that get our workers to large transportation where the jobs are located, but we also have to have a plan for Sunrail to work in the evenings, on the weekends, getting it to the airport, but we also have to figure out how to get people from the west side of Orange County and the east side of Orange County to Sunrail. I live in Horizons West. It's still going to take me 45 minutes just to get downtown to take the Sunrail, right? And so we have to also figure out how do we address some of our roadways that have a lot of congestion. Anybody who lives on the west side that needs to take the turnpike to the 429, it's a nightmare at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And so we have to also have a plan that addresses those roadways or intersections in addition to addressing our multimodal system. And so we need a robust plan that works with existing transportation organizations, whether it's Links, Expressway Authority, Metro Plan, all of them coming together with a plan.
This will be our last question, and this will be one that's very personal to each one of you. Money and where it comes from are sometimes strong indicators of what kind of candidate voters can expect once they are in office. So we've discussed each of your finances on how you raised your money. Ms. Uribe, you have now received contributions to your committee from investment firms, land developers, and hospitality business owners. How should voters interpret those contributions?
First of all, I've had the pleasure of serving now for 8 years. I've gone through 3 elections. I've never been bought and paid for. No one's ever expected a decision out of me because of that. But those people live here. I'm proud that 90% of my donors actually can vote for me because it's about this community and they're invested in this community and the next leadership. I'm proud of everyone who's donated recently. I received over 50 firefighters who donated to me from their hard-earned money as county employees. And that's exciting because it's the people who represent us every day. At the end of the day, we should be accessible, whether you give or not, whether you vote or not. This is about this community straight up. But there is no one out there that owns me. There's no huge, big donor that's putting in hundreds of thousands of dollars in me. But this is one check at a time, and I'm proud of those donations. We're going to keep working hard, but we're going to make sure we have an opportunity to run an effective campaign to get our message out to this community.
Mr. Messina, your contributions come from people who list their occupation as retired. What about your support? Are you in tune with the younger generations who are growing around the county?
Well, first of all, our campaign team is mostly young people, including one who's sitting in the seats back there. So no, we're really connected with younger people. That's how I know about the problems with Church Street. So I'm actually really proud of our donations because they're all grassroots. We have tremendous grassroots support from people who are on fixed incomes who want to change. They think that Orange County could do better by them. We also have a lot of young people who support us, and we appreciate their support too, because we know that every dollar that you contribute really makes a difference. And I look at you, those of you out there who've contributed to us as kind of my partners in this campaign and endeavor to see a thriving Orange County. So that's our approach. And the good news, and it's kind of ironic that I'm the conservative candidate and I've raised the least amount of money. It's sort of an opposite picture of what you see nationally, and I think that speaks to the quality of our campaign.
Ms. Russell, almost 50 contributors to your PAC, Tiffany for Florida, are political committees. Can you please explain that?
So a lot of the political committees are friends of mine that have their own PCs, right? And so I can name some. Senator Rosalind Osgood out of South Florida, I've known for years is a great example. I think political committees are a great way for them to support your PC. A great way for people to support you. But I also, on my direct fundraising, have over 1,500 individual donors. And I think that also speaks that this campaign is backed by the people.
Ms. Murphy, your PAC, Forging Florida's Future, received checks of $100,000 or more from billionaires like former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg and insurance industry titan J. Hyatt Brown, as well as Walt Disney Company and the CEO of Avalon Park Group. Should voters wonder if those donors are expecting favors in return for their donations?
Those donors aren't expecting favors. They believe that I can deliver results for this community, and they believe in the vision that I have for this community, just as all of the other supporters of my campaign do. They believe that this community deserves to be a world-class community for the people who live here, and that if you work in this community, you should also be able to afford to live in this community. They think that we should have an affordable, livable community that has opportunity for everyone, meaning that we're driving down the cost of housing and ensuring that people have attainable housing, that there's less congestion and better ability to connect people with opportunity, and opportunity which is a diversified work economy, as well as strong job training. Those are the things that my campaign stands for, and I'm proud of the support that it has received.
We are at the end of our time with the candidates for Orange County Mayor. Thank you all for a very healthy debate and conversation about these issues.
We'll now give each candidate a minute for a closing statement to talk directly to the voters. Ms. Russell, please start us off. 1 minute.
All right, so again, good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Listen, you've heard from us all tonight, and everyone has their own vision for what they want for Orange County. But what I will tell you this election is not about promises. A vision must match reality. And what you're getting in Tiffany Moore Russell is a candidate with proven executive leadership who has shown how to raise wages for her employees, who has delivered results for constituents in District 6 by getting neighborhood projects, who's modernized a constitutional office by making sure it is more accessible to the citizens. So this race is going to be about someone who not only has a vision, but someone who can actually deliver on the results, someone who knows this county, someone who knows every neighborhood, that we have 13 cities in this county, someone who has served you and made sure that we can deliver for the needs for this people of Orange County. And so with that, I thank you all so much. I ask for your vote. I ask for your trust. I ask that you are willing to trust me to serve as your clerk of court. And now I ask that you will trust me to be your next Orange County Mayor. So with that, vote for Tiffany Moore Russell for Orange County Mayor, or visit my website at tiffanyformayor.com. Thank you again for joining us.
Mr. Messina, 1 minute.
Sure. Orange County friends, you've heard from us all. We have different approaches and different backers. Mine is based on common sense, fiscal discipline, the free market, and the support of you, the hardworking citizens of Orange County. We will not take orders from New York City billionaires or any special interest. If you want to see an Orange County that's safer, that's cleaner, that's healthier, that's wealthier and happier, vote Messina for mayor. Our future Orange County is a technology innovation powerhouse, leading in space tech, home of the Space Force Academy. We'll have wonderful jobs here, including in the trades, via our Orange County Works program. Our blighted strip malls will be vibrant centers combining housing, retail, and commerce. We'll have 21st century transportation with technology-equipped, reliable buses. You can support my campaign at chrismessina.com. Most importantly, I ask for your vote on August 18th. Vote for a new vision, not another recycled politician. Together in our Orange County, children, families, and businesses will thrive. Thank you, and may God bless you and your families.
Thank you very much. Ms. Uribe.
Orange County is my home, and I want to thank Wesh for hosting us. It's where I grew up, where my parents built their lives, and where my husband and I are raising our family. Every decision I've made in the County Commission has been guided by the same principle. Our families and businesses deserve a county that works for them. After 8 years of service and a deep knowledge of the issues, including hours pouring through the budget and transportation plans, I'm ready to lead on day one. As we launch the next chapter in Orange County history, the choices we make now are critical issues like affordable housing, transportation, managing growth, and this will all shape Orange County for the future generation. I'm running for mayor because I'm ready to take on that responsibility with experience, with heart, and with the deep commitment of someone who loves this community. I care about your family like I care about mine, and will work every day to honor the trust you put in me. I ask for your vote August 18th. Thank you.
Ms. Murphy, 1 minute.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. You've heard a lot of different ideas about this community, but this is what I believe. I believe that we are at an inflection point and we need leadership, not the same old status quo. Leadership that has the ability to bring a diverse community together and make sure that the growth that we're experiencing results in opportunity, not additional pressures on working families. I'm somebody who has worked in the business world at the Department of Defense and in Congress and has been effective at delivering real results for the people I represent. And I believe that I've had the chance to live the American dream, and I want that same opportunity for every person in every single neighborhood in this county. We can build a county around affordability, livability, and opportunity for everyone. Our best days are ahead of us, and I look forward to earning your vote.
Thank you all for your time and for your service to the voters of Central Florida and Orange County. Now, you've heard from the candidates. Now it's your turn. Orange County primary election day is August 18th. Early voting begins August 3rd, and if you want a mail-in ballot, you need to request it by August the 6th.
If no candidate receives more than 50% of the vote, the top 2 vote getters will advance to a runoff in the November election.
You can rewatch this debate and others from our Commitment 2026 debate series right now on WESH.com. Thank you so much for watching.